Now, meanwhile, you know what the Republicans have been doing in California? Have you heard about this one? Woo! It's the latest election bullshit that the Christian Republicans have come up with, this time in California. Republicans there have installed dozens of unauthorized ballot drop boxes that are illegal to begin with. The state of California is legally mandated to do that. Not a bunch of thugs like these filthy Republican Christians. But this is how desperate they are. And this is how they don't give a shit about the law. They're Christians. They don't have to. They decide who lives and who dies. They'll tell you. They'll tell you who's going to live and who's going to die. Oh, maybe not on this earthly plane, but they will tell you in a heartbeat that Albert Einstein and Mohandas Gandhi are roasting in hell because they weren't Christians. One was a Jew, one was a Hindu. Well, they'll never make it. So the Republican Christians in California have now come up with the Dropbox debacle. California Republicans who are violating state laws. And this new action by these thugs immediately injects a whole new chapter of chaos into the 2020 election process. These son of a bitches know what's going to happen. They know what's going to happen. And they're doing everything they can to make sure it doesn't. They will lie, cheat, steal. They're Christians. Of course they will. The most evil cult ever perpetrated on the human race. You don't believe that, do you? Oh, Malloy's going off on his Christian bullshit again. Hey, listen, look back through history. Look at what the Christians have done. Look at how many hundreds of millions of people have been butchered, slaughtered, killed, hanged, drowned, lynched, dismembered in the name of their phony goddamn blood cult. The biggest threat on earth today are modern Christians. And I don't give a shit where they live. United States, Russia, Turkey, East, Treblinka. Yeah, I don't care. It's the biggest threat. And it always has been. Now, let me add to that I realize that there are some misguided, righteous people who believe they are doing Christian work when they do what Jesus of Nazareth, the rabbi, suggested in the 3 sermons that he ever gave. But the Sermon on the Mount is the most important one. And when these misguided Christians, I mean, if you want to be a follower of Jesus or a follower of Dr. King or a follower of Gandhi, okay, that doesn't mean you elevate the person to supernatural status and say, ooh, he's a god. No, he's not. He's a human being. I don't deny the existence of Jesus of Nazareth. Never have, never will. But the bullshit that was put out there by the sickest of his followers 300 years after he died, that he was the Messiah. And the apostles wrote all this bullshit. That's why you and I will never read the Book of Mary or some of the books that are found in the Gnostic Gospels, because the Gnostic Gospels laid out very clearly he was a human being. He was married. He had children. There are people walking the planet today who are direct blood descendants of the Rabbi Jesus of Nazareth. How does that grab you? But the Christian cultists, the ones who started this bullshit 2,000 years ago, probably never realized it would become something, an instrument of horror and terror and murder and mayhem and lies and deception and dishonesty that it has become. So the latest incarnation, one of the latest incarnations, is the Fox Sewer, where all these crazed goddamn Catholics put out these lies and bullshit and deception 24/7 to the brain dead people out there who just sit there and suck it up and lap it up and drink it up and are convinced that there's some evil cabal. Yeah, there is, and his name is Donald Trump, striding the country. It's not Satan. It's not some terrible spook out of hell. It's been a series of right-wing fascists. Donald Trump is a direct descendant of Hitler, who's a direct descendant of Genghis Khan, who's a direct, it just keeps going back and going back. Excuse me, didn't mean to cough in your ear there. Well, this is Wednesday night, isn't it? Yeah, well, Wednesday night is supposed to be church night anyway, so yeah, I'm going off on this shit again. Where was I? Oh, yeah. The Trump murder pandemic has led to incredible interest in mail-in voting for obvious reasons. But King Rat and the Republicans, these neo-fascist Christian scum, they've spent months attacking the integrity of mail-in ballots and fighting in court against drop boxes, going to court to stop people from dropping their mail-in ballot into a box that would then be collected by the state election commission or the county election commission and counted. Why would they do that? Because they are fascist Christian thugs. That's why. You have a better reason? Let me hear it. Send me an email. Tell me. Text me. I don't give a shit. Tell me a better reason. But they've added to the chaos now in California. In California. Because they know where that state's electoral votes are going to go. And they know that in the last presidential election, if all the votes would have been counted and no Russian interference, Donald Trump would be a failed, filthy little sneaking on the streets, homeless, I would hope, ex-reality talk show person. But that was not to be. He's the president of the United States, don't you know? So the California scam that these filthy Christian Republicans are now running is the latest in their attempts to screw up the voting, to screw up the results, to make sure that King Rat stays president for another 4 years. And you have to wonder, I have to wonder, why? What are they getting out of this? Is it because they're so goddamn rich they can play games with the lives of 300 million people and they don't give a shit? I don't know what it is. But it's sickening and it's disgusting and it's got to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is through the electoral system. And that's why it's being attacked by these bastards. That's why it's being corrupted by these swine. CNN's election law analyst said whether or not it's even considered technically legal it's extremely problematic for voters. Now, Rick Hasen is also a law professor at the University of California, Irvine. He said the unauthorized drop boxes were not secure and that the Republicans there are, quote, asking for trouble. And asking, no, they're causing trouble. Rick, I'm sorry. I'm going to disagree with you. I realize you're a law professor, but they're not asking for trouble. They are making trouble. They are causing trouble. Big trouble. Not good trouble. Bad trouble. Now, what has happened? Okay. California this year is mailing ballots to all registered voters for the obvious reason, because of the coronavirus. Now, voters who get these can mail back their ballots or return them at official drop boxes. And the filthy pig, the King Rat in the White House has attempted and to some degree has succeeded in destroying people's confidence in the Postal Service, right? So there are anti-fraud safeguards built into the process to make sure the ballots are filled out by the right voter and that drop boxes are protected from tampering. So it's a good system that the state of California came up with. But the Christian Republican Party in California installed dozens of unauthorized ballot drop boxes in at least 4 Southern California counties. Southern California. You know, where the pale faces are not the majority, where the people of no color are not the majority, and where are the competitive House races this year. So the Christian Republicans claim it did this as part of a above-board effort to, we're just trying to legally collect and return people's ballots. Oh, my God. Legally collect and return. Oh, you California Christian Republicans are just wonderful. You are, you filthy rats. Anyway, election officials in the counties affected are expressing alarm about these, what they call deceptive boxes. California's governor, attorney general, and secretary of state condemned these boxes and sent cease and desist letters telling the California Christian Republicans to remove them by tomorrow. And as of late yesterday, they hadn't gotten an answer from the Christian Republicans in California. That's according to the Attorney General of California, Xavier Becerra's press office. Now, you might be wondering, Truth Seeker, if you just crawled out from a cave, why did Republicans do this? Well, their claim is that they only want to use their makeshift drop boxes to help collect people's ballots and turn them into election officials. Ooh, where do you suppose the drop boxes were most prominently displayed? Well, I'll just tell you, churches and gun shops. Churches and gun shops. Jesus Christ. I'll bet no black churches. Oh, excuse me. No churches of color. Or no, that's wrong. No churches whose never mind. You know what I mean. The next few days are going to determine if this situation in California escalates into a massive political showdown. And I'll put my money on the fact that it will, or on the possibility that it will. And whether or not it leads to a full-blown criminal investigation, or if the Christian Republicans very quietly back down, tuck their tails up between their legs, and slink out the back door. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.